Hey, what is up, guys? Trev, SmashweRx, bringing you all the good stuff for free. You know how it works, real hacks, real results. Today we're gonna talk about painful pull-ups, weak pull-ups, and your glutes. Yeah, they have everything to do with each other, trust me. And why you're not getting enough pull-ups, and why this thing has a lot to do with it. If you remember my pull-up video on how to get more pull-ups, yeah, this is phase 3 on how to get more pull-ups. How about that? Phase 3 on how to get more pull-ups. You want them? Watch this video and we'll get to work. Listen, you need to externally rotate and bring your elbow down to your side to do a pull-up. That's just how it works. If you can't do that properly, you cause damage. So we're gonna be testing 2 slings in the body, and all this stuff I talk about in one of my courses. By the way, if you're not taking the courses, I cram medical school, chiropractic college, physical therapy, and personal training all into one giant course, and it costs you a lot less than going to college for all that stuff, and it's like hanging out with me for like a year. The glute and the contralateral lat. So we can switch that around. We can say it's the lat, contralateral glute. It doesn't matter, it just makes an X. It's connected by something called the thoracolumbar fascia. We're looking for a hamstring recruitment and teres major recruitment. The way you test it, you need a second person. Your wife, your husband, your brother, your sister, your dog, your cousin, somebody that can do what I'm about to show you. You're gonna take the foot, you're gonna dorsiflex it. So that means bring the toes towards the shin. This is where she's gonna start off. She's gonna take this hand and she's gonna bring it down by her side. And she's gonna bring her hip up like this. This is the starting position. All I'm gonna do is push down on the wrist and the back of the leg just behind the knee. I'm gonna push down and I'm looking for any kind of weakness. And then relax. You gotta test both sides. When the glute doesn't work, it's because the lat doesn't work. They're married together. That's why your pull-ups stink. That's why your glutes have something to do with this. She's gonna take her hands. She's gonna cross them over. She's gonna come up. Try and bring this shoulder to this side. So I'm gonna push on this shoulder and pull on the leg. So there you go, relax. So what I'm doing is I'm looking to see if I can open the system up, because the system is adductors, contralateral, external and internal obliques. Last test is real easy. Check the length of the lat and the length of the teres major. Teres major does adduction and internal rotation. So in order to test all that, we just go the opposite direction, just like the lat. You take your hands, bring them out in front of you, just like that. Like she's holding a box, fingers flared apart, and she's gonna just bring her arms all the way overhead. We're just looking for them to touch at the same place. That's exactly what they're doing. The elbows aren't kicking out that way. Now she's gonna get into what's called the scarecrow position, but this way. Good. She's gonna take her hands while she's holding a big box. All she's gonna do now is externally rotate to keep them sticking out. Her shoulder and her lats and her teres are awesome. If I did this, I'd look like this. So stop laughing. So this is what you're looking for. This kind of stuff, or this kind of stuff, or this kind of stuff. All of those are fails. We've gone through all 3 tests with the most badass assistant, by the way. And now we've exploited, hopefully, where all the weaknesses and asymmetries are. Now we need to know how to fix everything. It's all hacks. My technique, anyone else's technique, it doesn't matter. They're all addressing the same 3 things. They're addressing a muscular problem, whether it's a tissue extensibility or a contractile issue. They're addressing a joint integrity issue or lack of range of motion. And they're addressing a neurological component where your brain needs to understand what it's doing. So when you triage any injury, any rehab, any problem, you're looking for a gap in any one of those 3 systems. Find the gap and you find the solution. One is what I call the overhead shoulder opener, but the lat, since it follows to the inside of the bicipital groove here, wraps around the inside of the humerus, what it's gonna do is it's gonna internally rotate the arm when it's short and tight. So we take our hand, put it all the way through here. I'm on the crook of the elbow, the antecubital fossa, if you wanna get fancy. We're gonna trailing leg side, because I wanna be able to open that up. And we take this hand. This is so much fun, right? Because this stuff works. We're gonna take our hand, we're gonna grab the back of our own neck. What it's doing is it's pulling the elbow backwards. But what I want is that elbow to point as straight up as possible, because if you look, this is technically overhead position. I just haven't extended my elbow yet, right? It's in flexion. And then I'm going to take myself and I'm gonna turn away from the band while the band's pulling me back and up. That's why this band should be pretty stout. You're gonna feel it in this lat. You're gonna do something a little different here. You're gonna throw in some PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, big fancy word for just holding it and then letting it go. So we're gonna try and bring the elbow straight down. So we're gonna come down, force that lat to fire, 3, 4, 5, Big breath in, open it all the way up again. You're gonna go through that entire cycle for 2 minutes. Take our hands, put them in here. This is our position. Same as the scarecrow test, just not as wide. Elbows on the box. So now I'm bringing my elbows close together. Arms or hands externally rotated, and I'm gonna push myself through while trying. And I did a truckload. Oh, that's horrendous. This is embarrassing. Oh, that sucked. So what I'm trying to do is, as I'm leaning forward, trying to push my chest through, is I'm externally rotating, but I'm not doing this. I'm trying to externally rotate the humerus. That is number 2. Oh, I almost hit the camera. Sit Indian style, my back is up against the wall, nice and tall. Hands in front of me, like I'm holding a box. And all I'm doing is I'm keeping my head, my shoulder blades, and everything against the wall. Now I'm touching my thumbs, elbows locked out. And then we're gonna come back down to neutral. Retract, protract. All the way up. Back down, retract, protract. All the way up. Then we do the same thing, but switch our legs around. So now this one's on the underside, this one's on the high side. Scarecrow test, the position of the scarecrow test. The humerus is the humeri, whatever you want to call it. Both arms parallel to the floor. Holding a big giant box, square, 90 degrees at the armpit, 90 degrees at the elbow, right? Axilla and anticute. We're going to externally rotate, touch the thumbs, keeping the arms parallel to the floor, and then back down just to that neutral position. The entire time I'm doing this, I'm keeping my shoulder blades pulled down into the back pockets. Once you're done this, same thing. Switch legs, do the same thing again. We're gonna go shoulder width. Guys, fellas, this is not shoulder width. I don't care how yoked you are. I have a good friend of mine, Dorian Yates. He's huge. His shoulders aren't this wide. He knows, okay? So your shoulders aren't that wide. Shoulder width, here. You're gonna hang. What you're gonna do is you're going to do circles with your scapula all the way and all the way through. And you're going to do this really controlled. 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here. Like this, externally rotate, pulling the scapula down into the back pockets, all the way overhead, and then back down behind your neck if you can. Force that external rotation, and then all the way back up to the top of the head, and then internally rotate. So once again, that is 1 rep. I'm in this plank position. I'm going to load it. Opposite, 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 opposite. The reason I have you in that plank position, it forces shoulder stability, recruits it, forces it. You got to stay stable and wound up in that joint, and it forces the hips to work properly. Remember, 90 degrees at the knee, 90 degrees at the hip, all the way up. Lightly touch your butt, all the way up. Lightly touch your butt, same thing. My goal is to build the largest library on the planet, so I'm gonna do it. Anyway, listen, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Trev, SmashweRx, do this entire thing. Hit me up in the comments for questions, for things that you need. I love you guys. I'm gonna go eat. I'm hungry. Just had jiu-jitsu. Later.